So, hey everyone, welcome. My name is Dorina. I'm a healing writing coach and a poet, a published poet. This month, basically, the topic has been surrounded about spirituality and all the other tools, and we've been discussing different things. So, today, what I'd like to do is talk to you with one of my coaches, and her name's Lorraine Whyte, and we actually connected in 2016, which was a rough year for me because I just lost my dad, and I had felt that I really needed change in my life, and I felt like the things that I was doing were not really aligned. Back then, I was a lifestyle blogger, and somehow it wasn't fulfilling, and I felt like something was amiss. So somehow things happened, and I connected to Lorraine, who's a soul purpose entrepreneur coach, and she's also practices numerology, and she's able to guide you to work according to your soul purpose. And that's why I always say I'm a healing writing coach, because my soul purpose is to be a teacher, to help, and to just shine a light for people who are in need of some healing. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And we're doing it in this format because she's in the UK, and we could not find a way to record together. So this is going to be a bit different than most of my other videos. So thank you so much, Lorraine.
Thank you so much for having me, Dorina.
Yeah, it's lovely having you.
I'm so glad to be here. And thank you for that wonderful introduction as well.
You're welcome. Some people have this misconception of what spirituality is, and people have this thing of, if you're spiritual, you're not religious. And I feel like people kind of misconstrue things. So are you able to elaborate on that? Just maybe tell us a little bit about your background, because I have an idea, but everyone else does.
Yeah, okay. Spirituality for me is about that connection with source, with God, with the universe. It's about that relationship that you have with God. And for me, when I say that I'm spiritual, I mean that I have a very good connection, very close relationship with God. And that everything that I do in my life is guided by that connection with God. It's about being able to connect so that you are able to have purpose in your life, and to also know that your life has a purpose, that's what spirituality is for me. So when I say that I'm spiritual, people may sometimes think, oh, she's religious. Religion for me is different to spirituality. Of course, as a religious person, you are spiritual, but religion for me presents a kind of notion of, it's like a framework. There is a framework in religion, okay, that you follow. Whereas with spirituality, it's more free, and you are not guided by a framework. You're guided by how you feel you should be, according to what God is communicating with you personally. Yeah. And it's always positive, and there's always, if you're doing something wrong and immoral, then that's not spiritual. That's yourself, that's your ego, but that's how I see it.
Because some people, when they hear the word spiritual, then they get so flustered. And then some people have been talking about new age and this thing, and for me, new age, I don't like the way spirituality has become like an industry, and it's been repackaged,
Yeah.
And because all these new age things that have come about are things that ancient cultures practiced back in the day, and then now they've somehow been repurposed, so then someone gave them a label. But then when you look at different nomadic cultures who still have their own religion or their way of life, then you notice that they have similarities, which in turn had made me think that actually we are the same. We just happen to live in different areas and corners of the world. Yeah. And then when we think about it, what someone had said, or the scientists had said back millions of years ago, that the earth or the continents were all together. So it's like we somehow separated ourselves water separated us, but at the end of the day, like the principle of how people practiced and all the things that people did is the same. Is there some forms of your cultural background that you noticed that was different from you spending time with other people, like when you're growing up and like go to other people's homes and then you notice, okay, we're a little bit different?
I don't know if it was anything spiritual. I mean, we in our culture we have certain things that we do, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's anything to do with spirituality. It's just how we are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, things like sitting around the table together as a family and
Mm-hmm.
having dinner, and also in terms of how, like, my family, they were quite we are quite we're servers, you know, so everyone comes first. Everyone that you come into our house, everyone comes first. You know, you'd give up your you know, you'd give up whatever you have to make that person feel comfortable. That's how
Yeah.
I was brought up.
Yeah, that's like
So
very African.
yes. And so I've undone a bit of that, if I'm honest, because I feel that it didn't actually impact me in the best way, because it made me kind of not know what self-love means, you know. And so, so I've had to learn the
Mm-hmm.
meaning of self-love, the meaning of self-worth, the
Mm-hmm.
meaning of being able to put yourself first and not feel guilty about that. I've had to undo a lot of that.
Okay.
And that's not a bad thing. I mean, that's just where we were coming from. That's just how we were brought up. And it's not a bad thing, but it just didn't work for me because I think I'm very sensitive. And so I think that it was easy to just allow people to give everything to somebody and then to perhaps allow someone to walk all over me. That's how it affected me. So I've had to undo that. And that's like with my children, I try and show them the balance, to balance that out, as opposed to feel that you have to give of yourself and lose yourself in the process. Yeah, so when somebody comes to my house, no, I won't give up my bed. I won't. I will give you a lovely bed, but I'm not going to give up my bed, and you know, just things like that. Okay. Yes.
And that was a good conversation to have, because, you know, sometimes we don't think of how certain cultures and norms that
Yeah.
affect us. And the purpose for culture is just to have a compass. People struggle with is moving forward and
Yeah.
changing. And then when you change something, it kind of shakes the status quo. And I think
Yes.
it's also the programming of that generation
Yeah.
back then, like how they had to, because imagine unlearning. I noticed as well with certain people, with the way I decided to live my life, it hurts them, because
Yeah.
that's what they would like to do, but they felt like they had obligations, so
Yes.
they
Yes.
never had a choice. And the
Yes.
fact that you, like, nowadays people have a choice, it kind
Yeah.
of irks them, because for them that's not how the world works. And now it's shifting to be that, where you just find your own joy and you're able to do what you can when you can, you know.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm about now. It is about really connecting to what makes me happy, and also what I'm here to do. You know, what God wants me to do. That's what it's about. And sometimes it's not easy, because you have to, you know, you may have certain relationships in your life that they are impacted because they're no longer aligned with who you are now. You know, they're more aligned with who you were. But when God wants you to do something and it's not, you know, in alignment with how your family want you to be, or your old friends want you to be, it's for you to make that decision, to choose, you know, to be guided by what you're feeling, by your connection, or to be guided by what other people want you to be and how they want you to be.
Because the most important thing I've noticed about spirituality and being firm in it is
Yeah.
placing boundaries. Because, like we talked about, you know, changing how you view life and everything. So how have you, or what tips would you give someone who's struggling to set boundaries so that they can actually live in a healthy way that's with self-love? Like, for example, that giving up your bed situation.
Yeah. That's a good question, and that's something I'm going to be totally honest. I'm still learning. Okay, I'm still learning about self-love. It's something that is evolving, and I suppose a lot of healers have this, because for a lot of us, we are here to serve other people. But we often forget about ourselves, and so there's always a journey. But in order to be a really powerful channel, you've got to have that self-love. So with regards to boundaries then, you the way that you can know that you are doing the right thing is to, as you say, you have to use your heart in that connection as your compass. If something feels uncomfortable, you've got to go with that. Okay, if you feel like you're being pressured, or you feel like you're being pushed, or you feel like you're having to speak to someone in a certain way, or you feel like you know, you can't speak your truth easily, okay, you've got to question, what is that about? You have to be true to how you feel, and if you need a bit of space, that's okay. Okay, if you need space, that's absolutely okay. It's to not beat yourself up, not to put yourself down, judge yourself. Be true to yourself. Okay, it's okay. None of us are perfect. We are all here, we're all learning, we're all evolving. But I feel like if you can just be true to yourself and just go with the flow, go, you know, you might find that you need space, and then, you know, in a couple of weeks you're feeling better, and that's totally fine. Just honor yourself. Yeah, just honor yourself and your soul and your heart.
Yeah. And the one thing that I'd like to let everyone know is that when it comes to spirituality, it's not like everyone, like, people tend to feel that people are like enlightened and they have all the answers. But the thing is, we're learning, and sometimes we have a knowing of certain things and experiences, but we've not experienced them. But then that's why we're coming. And if someone tells you that they're super enlightened and they have all the answers, then that's a red flag.
That is a red flag for sure.
Yes, because the thing is,
everyone has stuff going on.
yes,
you know.
yes, because the thing is, the master can become the teacher, because there's always something new and there's always something you can learn from the other person. And that's why when I meet people on their different spiritual paths, I do not judge people, because I know at some point I probably used to think like they did, so there's no point of judging. And just and that's why I always tell people it's a judgment-free zone, because whatever you're thinking and how you're feeling is valid for you at that moment. You know, you might not see it from a different perspective, so just beware. If someone tells you that they have all the answers, that's a red
flag. And also, I want to say on that as well, is that, like, and this is for some healers, a lot of my clients who I work with, I find this is a very common theme. It's like they feel like they're not, because they are they're going through stuff, or they're working through stuff, or stuff comes up. It doesn't mean that you are not able to help somebody. Okay, you're always able to help someone. Someone can always benefit from what you have to teach them. Okay, a lot of the time we do go through stuff to help, not just for ourselves but for other people, number one. And also, as time goes on, our challenges reduce, because it's not just, or shall I say that again, how we perceive our challenges change. Okay, so they no longer become a big thing. It's like, okay, you know, because you know how to deal with stuff.
Acknowledging that challenges are part of the process,
part of the journey. That's right. That's right. And that as time goes on, how we perceive it will change. You know, what seems like a big thing to you like 10 years ago, or 9 years, let's say 9 years, because it's all in 9-year cycles. So what may seem like a big thing to you like 9 years ago is not the same. You're not going to have the same energy around that today. You know, you're going to think, okay, I dealt with that, and I can, you know, I can deal with that now. But they say that every level that you go to, there's another devil. I can't remember the exact quote. For each level, there's another devil, or something like that. And so that's it, because as we keep going, we're being forced to grow, and so something's always gonna
Yeah.
come up. But there are ways of dealing with that, you know, like certain healing modalities that you can use in order to help you to get through that process as well. And that's why I'm also a Theta healer now. So that is why I sought out that modality, because I saw with clients that a lot of the time they will come with an issue, a business issue, or and that isn't really a business issue. A lot of the time it's a personal issue. It's a personal challenge. It's a soul challenge that needs to be healed. And so that's why I now use Theta healing as to complement what I do to help people to move forward.
It's good, because I feel like we need to encompass, because people just think that the more spiritual you are, the you have less problems.
Yeah.
The more spiritual you are, then problems come quick, and they go as quick as they go, depending on how you handle them. And
Yeah.
for me, the most important thing about growth is realizing when a situation comes and you do not react in it the same way that you would have reacted like months or, and that's when you realize that there's growth.
You
You know,
shifted.
you've shifted.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's I think what I love. Like, actually spirituality is like a conscious diary of events that when things come back to you, then you have to somehow rewrite the story of how you're gonna move forward.
It's exactly, you have an opportunity
to
change how you're going to react to that, for sure. Because it and that's how it works. It can work sometimes with the universe. It's like they will show you something over and over again. It's like relationships. You know, when you're single and they show you, the universe, or you seek out a man who happens to be very similar to who you were with before. And then you find, although they're a different person, they're the same, but in disguise. So it's like that person is being shown to you over and over and over again, for you to think, okay, how am I going to deal with this time? How am I going to deal with this time? And it's like, when you don't get it, the universe will continue to send this type of person to you. And then you've got to realize and think, okay, I get it. I've got to, you know, just change the way that I am dealing with this. I've got to work out something within myself that is attracting this type of person. Because relationships are always mirrors of what we have going on for ourselves. You know.
True. Because I remember when we're speaking about relationship, it could also be friendships, you know.
And friendships, of course.
Yes, because there's certain, like, I remember there's a time in my life, or in everyone's life, where if you're a giver, because I'm a giver, and then when you're a giver, you attract a lot of takers. And then the thing with takers is that they know how to get things from you without asking, and then they use you and you feel drained. So I remember I used to have a lot of friends who were taking. Some people would start venting to, like, without asking my permission, dump their problems on me, because you know, I'll always be there. And then it came a point where I just told I just had to set boundaries. I'm like, please, if you have problems, start thinking about why you keep having the same problems and why you keep reacting in the same way. Because like, I can listen to you, but then I also have things going on. And it's kind of like, because I didn't want to be sucked into that loop. Like, there are people who can spend hours on the phone talking about nothing, and you try to chime in to talk about something, and they don't even give you space to talk at all. Like, you could just leave the phone and just let them talk and come back, and they'll still be talking. So like, you have to. They have no idea. So then that's why it's like, you know, I always tell people, misery loves company. And you also have to set boundaries to friendships, it's not limited to friendships, it's also family, it's work as well. Because, you know, in work situations, so it's just dealing with people. So then that is the most important thing. And then when you realize that you're reacting, and you tell people, look, this is not working for me, And also people, in the same thing with relationships, people push your buttons to see what you can
They can
allow,
get
so that
away with.
what they can get away with. So
Yeah.
that is also another thing. And that's also, I know that doesn't, like, some people think like that's not a spiritual life, but it is, because
Yeah.
it's learning to let go and learning to step into your power to be the person that you're supposed to be, or the person.
Yes.
Yes. So so then there's also that aspect as well.
For sure, because when you are aligned, your friends and your those around you, your partners are there. You're all aligned. You're all there helping each other. You're inspiring each other to be who you're supposed to be, to be aligned with your calling, aligned with who you are, aligned with your soul. When you are in that space, your friends and your partners encourage you to stay there. They don't take you away from that
Yeah, yeah,
space,
yeah.
and I think that is another good point, because when you're not aligned, you may feel torn between
Torn, torn
between
and
your
torn
yes
and
sorry
limited.
yes torn and limited,
Yeah.
when that's not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to feel free and able to be who you are. I was going to say in the eyes of God, but I want to also say when you are in alignment,
Mm-hmm.
because God is not just outside, God is within.
Yeah, because we're made in the image, so we are part of, we're
Yeah.
like a small speck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you let us know the two, okay, you talked about theta healing. If you
Yes.
could let us know a little bit about the tools that someone can use in order to just give them, in order for them to flow with their lives, so that when things get overwhelming, because I know for me, when things get overwhelming, I just need a moment to take deep breaths and be still.
Yes.
And then if I feel like I'm starting to complain, I stop myself and I realize, what part am I playing in this?
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
after that, then things start to be clear. So those are the tools that I use. And of course, there's prayer, there's
Yes.
meditation. Yeah, are there any other tools that you could recommend?
Well, there are lots of healing modalities. I mean, I was drawn to Theta healing because it's about helping someone to overcome, to clear their limited beliefs, okay? Because we operate from about 80% of our subconscious mind, and within that 80% is a lot of limited beliefs. So
Mm-hmm.
our behaviors, our thoughts, our personality is being directed by that a lot of the time, and we don't really know. And so what theta healing does is it enables us to go into what we call theta brainwave, which is,
Mm-hmm.
you've got alpha, beta, delta,
Mm-hmm.
theta.
Mm-hmm.
And theta brainwave is the brainwave where you can access the subconscious,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and go in and clear those limited beliefs from the client and from ourselves. We can do it on ourselves as well. And what happens is that you see a shift in your reality, okay? So you see a shift in behavior, personality, in how you think and feel, okay? A lot of those limited beliefs are beliefs that you've had for most of your life, for many lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've attracted certain people, certain situations consistently, because as I was saying before, like, I'll go back to the relationship thing. So when you're attracting the same person all the time,
Mm-hmm.
although you may know that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in your conscious mind, for those of you who are aware and you've done the work yourself, you may know that, but you don't always know how to clear that and how to change that. So that's where theta healing would come in, to help you to clear the belief behind what is it actually within you that's attracting that kind of person. So that's how powerful it can be. And also with theta healing, they are now using it in countries like Japan to resolve cancer, in hospitals. So that's just how powerful it is. So it's a wonderful, wonderful healing modality, which I was drawn to it, and I had also had sessions and I saw the power of it in terms of how it shifted. Yeah. So so that's one modality. Okay. Other things you can do, obviously prayer. I pray every day because it is about being connected for me. I have to be connected and feel connected. And so I pray every morning and night. Okay. I pray, and it's like I do gratitude prayers as well. But I have to acknowledge the God within me, and I have to acknowledge my life, you know, and have gratitude for that. So that's really important. Just consciousness as well, and also just being conscious of what is going on in your life. You know, obviously you've got to have fun.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to have fun. That's number one. You've got to be happy. But the more in touch you are with yourself, you will start to see what doesn't make you happy, who doesn't make you happy, and you know, all of that. So it's being conscious as well, and meditation helps you to do that. How could I miss out meditation? Of course, you know, meditation is key as well every day. And again, I do meditation as well daily, and that's part of my prayer ritual, if you want to put it like that.
Yeah, because I know with meditation, there's some people who can meditate for hours, you know, in a day, and they have the time and all that. But some people always ask, like, how long should I meditate? I really do not. Like, some people say try 5 minutes, try 10, then move up to 10 minutes. What do you think would be for beginners?
Do you know what? Meditation is one of those things where I say to you that you don't have to sit down and meditate for like 10 minutes. You can go on a walk and just be in that space, you know, walk your dog or walk, you know, walk on your own or whatever it is. That can be a meditative experience. You can meditation in terms of time. It can be 5 minutes. It can be 10 minutes. It isn't the time, it's the quality. Because if you can sit and just go into that space, sometimes that can feel like 2 hours and it's only been 5 minutes if you do it. If you've really practiced and know how to really get into that state very quickly. But yeah, it doesn't have to be you sat there cross-legged. You know, you can be there. you can be in nature, you know, and that's really wonderful if you can do that, and it's not, you know, you've got somewhere near home that you can go and do that, you know.
I actually prefer walking meditation.
Yeah, exactly. So it could be either.
So I remember when I first connected with you, you actually, because I had been curious about numerology because I'd been introduced to angel numbers. And then like what the numbers, what energy the numbers have. But then when I met you, you were able to do a chart with my name in numerology and actually unlock and find out what it is, what my soul purpose was, which I had an idea, but I wasn't sure of how to go about it. So could you tell us like a little bit, like just about numerology and how powerful is a name when it comes to numerology?
Yeah. Well, numerology. So there are so many different systems of numerology. And I think when we met, I was using one system. But since then, I am now using about 2-3 different systems that I kind of take things from. But in terms of did you say name or date of birth?
Name and date of birth. But name, I use my name,
Yeah. So in terms of your name, so the system that I used, and other systems, to be honest with you, a lot of time we use your full birth name. And so every letter of your name has an energy, okay, and a meaning. So when we put those letters together, we get the person's life story. We get the person's challenges, we get the person's destiny, number, purpose, okay, the person's strengths and weaknesses, any, as I said, challenges, okay. We get a whole list of different aspects of your life within your name, your full birth name. And so we're able to help you to understand yourself on a deep soul level, to understand what your challenges are, what your gifts are, you know, how you can move through your challenges, what your life is like. Now, in terms of numerology and like divination, I want to touch on this because many people may feel that numerology is all about divination and fortune telling. I don't actually see it in that way. I see numerology, I use it in very much the same way as psychometrics, because I used to be a psychometric assessor. That was my old life in the corporate world, because I used to be a recruiter. And so it was for me to help to understand people's gifts and talents, skills, and how they can be of benefit to a company. So now for me, it's about understanding a person's gifts and talents and abilities and how they can be of benefit to their own lives. You know, that's how I really see it. And that's how I use numerology, is to help people to understand themselves and to know that when they've got a particular dream or a goal, you know, is to help them to understand how they can make that reality, how they can achieve those goals, and make those dreams reality. That's the perspective that I use. So I work with lots of coaches and consultants, and I work with them because I've got a real soft spot in my heart for people who want to serve other people. And it's about helping people to do it in the most authentic way that is true to who they are and true to their purpose. And so numerology helps me to help them to see that who they are is exactly who they're supposed to be, in order to help who they're supposed to help. Okay, so and I just think it's so powerful in that sense, to really help people to be seen. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting, because like I never really realized that. Okay, I knew that people say there's power in your name, and that's why I go, because everyone back then knew me as okay, they know, as people still, my close friends still call me Donna, but I never realized that actually using my birth name or Donna is more my nickname, but then using Dorina was more powerful than Donna. And then that's also the reason why I dropped my other brand name, because it was not working for me, because I always had, this is like a story on the side, that I always had problems with people paying me on time or taking me seriously. And then that's how I ended up, you know, leaving that. And anyway, it was good for me then. And now Monversation is where it's at now.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and that is the power of a name. You know, if you look at your names, even for people who are married and divorced, you know, the name change. You know, if you look at who you were when you were married and who you were when you were not married, or vice versa, you know, you'll see certain themes, because the name has power. I can relate to what you're saying as well, because I used to be called, my name is Lorraine Whyte, but I used to call myself Laurie Whyte, because some people call me Laurie. Okay, that is my name as well. So I used to say Laurie Whyte, but I realized that Laurie can be disempowering when I put the whole thing together. And so now that's why I use my name, my birth name, Lorraine, as opposed to Laurie. So there is a lot to be said about a name. Yeah, but as you say, your name will serves a purpose. Okay, so when you're ready to change that, then that's fine. But it does serve a purpose as well.
For professional purposes, I prefer using my official name. But then, like, because Dorina actually does mean gift of God.
Wow.
So then that's why I use it, because then it's with so then in my personal life, you know, people can still call me Donna. It's fine. I've been practicing not to play myself or to let myself down with my intuition. So do you have tools on how people can actually, you know, learn to listen more? Learn to listen to their intuition more.
Intuition is one of those things that you will be constantly tested with. Can be, okay? Because when you're in the beginning and you're saying, okay, I want to be more intuitive, it's like, you know, universe will throw things at you. But I want to say the same thing. You've got to go with that feeling. It isn't even the first thought, because sometimes that first thought can be fear. Okay, you got to go with feeling. So how does it feel? How does this person make you feel? What is that person, how are you responding to that person? Okay, is this person, maybe question yourself, you know, that is the first thing. And also for situations, does it feel right? Okay, and so I mentioned fear. So fear is the other thing that people get intuition mixed up with, okay? Because fear is limiting and it holds you back, it pulls you back, it brings you back to the past. So, you know, when you have a situation presented to you and you think, oh, I'm not going to do that because this is what happened to me last time. Okay, that's fear. Yeah, that's fear. Instead of saying to yourself, you know what, I'm not going to do that because this is what happened last time, try and think about, why did that happen last time? You know, it's come up again, could you not do it this time and do it differently? You know, so that's how fear works. Okay, so it will stop you completely from doing something, okay, because of the past. When it's intuitive, you're doing it because you feel it's the right thing to do. You feel that in your heart, you know. And sometimes, especially if this is to do with okay, I'm gonna go back to relationships because I think a lot of people will understand, they can relate to that. Okay, so for instance, when you, or even with friends as well, because you have this with people, when you might meet somebody and you feel like an instant connection and you feel like there's something there and you have to go and you know, you have to go be friends with that person, or you have to get to know that person. There's something that's saying, you know what, I need to connect, we need to connect. Okay, now that is something different, because that is like a soul connection, that there's something there that your soul needs to learn, needs to experience with that person, or that love, that potential partner, whatever. Okay, there's something there, and you'll feel that in your heart. Okay, you will feel that in your heart. Do you understand what I'm saying? Donna, you felt that, you know? It's like, you know, like you might see someone, you might meet them at networking, you know, a friend, and you think, there's something there. Okay, that is like soul. So that's something different. That's a bit deeper than intuition, because we have situations like that with people, where we're supposed to meet on this journey.
What can people do if they can afford to get help on learning about their spirituality or the healing? How can people get help for that?
Okay, that's a good question. What I will say, because this happens all the time, okay, especially when I get people coming to me and they can't afford the my service, but they obviously need some help and guidance. And I want to say that it's about being creative, okay, and reaching out for help, because you don't know how it will come. And also, what you think you may need, you may not need. Okay, because I always find, when I've been in situations where I might have felt that I needed help and there was no help, you know, maybe I'd ask somebody, or, you know, there was no help. What I've always found in my life is that, for me, that was the universe saying that I do have the resources. And it wasn't about help, it was about understanding what resources we do have ourselves. It won't incur any financial cost. Okay, so those have been the most powerful times in my life, when I've had to reach deep within myself and find the answers. And so some of the time it's that as well, but sometimes you have to reach out to other people in order to get to that point. Okay, because the universe is like feedback. If you're not going to reach out or speak to somebody and ask for help or whatever, you're not going to know. You're not going to know what to do. You're not helping yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so allow the universe to give you feedback and then act on the feedback. So when you think you've got no money, when you think that nobody's able to help you, use that as a sign, as guidance to help yourself in some way. Okay, don't ever feel stuck, because we're never stuck. We're never really stuck. What we're stuck on is not knowing certain aspects of ourselves that will help us to move forward. That's what the problem is.
All right. Okay, that was really poignant, and thank you for pointing that out, because I'm sure that's a question everyone needed to know. So thank you so much, Lorraine, for agreeing to come and talk to people. And you can find Lorraine. She is on Instagram.
Soul_Education Academy. Okay, that's my business one is Soul_Education Academy, and my private one, personal one, is Life_Strategist UK. Or Life Strategist UK. I'll come up, or if you just put my name in, Lorraine Whyte, and I'll come up with a Y.
And Lorraine actually has really nice videos on YouTube that talk like about your birth year, or like what number you are. Numerology number that you are. And for me, I'm a 3, so this is actually my year. So this is my first year. So because like Lorraine had mentioned before, everything is in 9 cycles. And I think that's why they say cats have 9 lives.
Yes. Yeah, that's interesting. Exactly. Because we've got 9 years to learn and to work through
because they
whatever
say,
theme it is we're working through.
Because most people say that to become a master, it takes like 9 years, 9 lifetimes. And yes, so I mean, like each year is a lifetime. So I think we're getting there. So thank you so much for coming, Lorraine, and
thank you for having me.
I will post all your details that you can see below, and this video is also going to be available on YouTube, and I'll let you know. So I'll just
lovely. Thank you so much for having me, Donna. It was lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome.